Hey everybody, Seth V here for the KnifeCenter, and it's new knives time. We've got a lot of new knives on the table, so let's take a look. First up this week is a new KnifeCenter exclusive version of the CRKT Symmetry. This is a Richard Rogers design. It's a non-locking knife, a detent joint if you will, which means that you can flip it open and flip it closed. These are $49.95, and we've upgraded the blade steel to D2 with a nice satin finish, and the handles here are black coated stainless steel, I believe, with pack of wood inlays. The gold hardware obviously is another little feature we've added. Really kind of classes up the look and just pops, if I do say so myself. I really think that these came out spectacular. They feel great too. The detent in the open position has enough resistance to where you don't feel uncomfortable using it. There's some decent resistance to closing, and yeah, allows you to still have a nice fidget-friendly action. I haven't quite mastered the flipping closed maneuver yet, but this particular knife is still breaking in. Yeah, these are really fun, and I really like this expression of the detent joint type of knife. It's just satisfying, you know, there's no flipper tab or anything to get in the way, and the shape of the flipper tab is kind of unique too. You can approach it in a lot of different ways. You saw me using it almost like a conventional back flipper. You can front flip it. You could even, geez, I don't know. There's just so much to work with. You can open it in just about any way you can come up with. So yeah, $49.95 on the website at the moment. Sweet little non-locking knife. Sticking with the non-locking knives for a minute here, we have a new entry in Case's Damascus series. This is their Seahorse Whittler pattern with 3 blades. We've got the main blade with this Wharncliffe, and the 2 sort of accessory blades, kind of a sheep's foot there, and I think this one's a pen blade. Yeah, that's right. Everything, well, all of the blades at least on this knife are made from ladder pattern Damascus, made in the USA, alongside all of Case's other slip joint knives. Yeah, the Whittler pattern I have always really admired. There's a lot of kind of complexity in the way it's put together. Even though there are 3 blades on this slip joint, there are only 2 back springs, which means that the main blade is kind of double wide. It's extra thick here and is supported by 2 back springs. And then when it closes up, it lands right smack in the middle of the other 2 little blades there. Very cool, kind of clever construction on these Seahorse Whittlers. The price on these is going to be $299, and you know, most of that is reflected in the antique bone handles and of course that stunning ladder Damascus. Sticking with the slip joints for a minute, we've got a knife that's not available today but will be dropping tomorrow. That's Friday. This is the latest from Jackwolf, the Javelina Jack. The Javelina is a type of wild boar, if you will, a small wild boar that lives in the southwest of the United States. It's a type of pig, and that makes sense for this pattern because this is Jackwolf's take on the sow belly. We've got that kind of exaggerated drop to the handle here, bit of a, I don't know, I guess you could call it a hanging belly, if you will. Some sow bellies have a little more belly than others. This one has a nice comfortable curve to it though. Very ergonomic. It's that kind of knife that you can easily manipulate with just these 2 fingers, which I find to just give you an immense amount of control. Control and precision is the name of the game here. I mean, not only are they really precisely made, but this S90V blade is just going to cut like crazy. Full hollow grind means that it's thin behind the edge and it stays thin for a good ways up the panel of the blade there. Jack Wolf has been using S90V in a lot of, well, in the last 2 releases at least, and I think many people see that as an upgrade over M390. You're going to get improved edge retention. S90V is not a new steel, but it is still many people's favorite stainless steel, and I can't really find a good reason to argue with them. It's a fantastic, fantastic choice. One of the cool things about these new S90V blades is that they actually come in at the same cost as the old M390 ones. So this one is $299 with, I believe this is the Blaze Orange Camo Carbon scales. Got a couple more Camo Carbon variants, and then there's a micarta version for $275. So same price point as before, but now you're getting S90V steel and a really cool expression of a sow belly pattern. The last slip joint on the table today is this, the Unboxer from a new brand to the Knife Center, TB Outdoor. So TB Outdoor is a French brand, and I believe all of the knives we just added are actually made in France. This one is non-locking, but it is really unlike any slip joint I've used before. It honestly took me about a minute of just opening and closing and kind of puzzling out how this knife actually works to figure it out. But this slot that you see here around the thumb stud, at first I thought it was like kind of an adjustable thumb stud path, but the thumb stud is not adjustable. What that is the spring itself. It's actually, that cutout goes all the way around the pivot, and you can see it kind of lifting up. Thomas will probably have to get this in close up, but you can see it lifting up when you go to close. Yeah, that's actually the spring that provides your the force to hold the knife open. So you can still open it with one hand pretty easily, and you get a real traditional back spring style of tension to close. I mean, it's a substantial tension, more than just a detent, but still you can, if you give it just right, there we go. You can get it to flick open. So this is a funky one. It's a really interesting implementation of a slip joint spring. I haven't even said the price yet, $51.95. We've got 2.8 inches of nitrox stainless steel. Bit of a rare one there. I'm not super familiar with it myself. And this one is actually set up for left-hand carry out of the box, but the clip is ambidextrous, and you can see it on the other side of the handle there. Just passes right through. Yeah, very interesting little knife here from a new brand, just oozing with character, doing things I have not seen before. Always love to see that. And pretty utilitarian package. Nice consistent edge, clean grind lines. Yeah, this one is very interesting. Next up, another one from TB Outdoor, kind of throwing it back with a very old school camping, almost a military surplus. I feel like I've seen this on the shelves of military surplus stores all over the world, or at least something like it. Maybe it's just the color of green, I don't know. But this thing is $19.95 and really has everything you need for a picnic. Nice long blade here, 5.5 inches closed. The blade length is 3.5 inches. Very thin stock, ground to a thin edge, almost a little Opinel-esque. And we've actually got a real back lock there. That button, push it down to unlock. The knife swings closed. Let me show you the other features on this tool. We've got a wine bottle opener. And you've already seen them. The spoon and fork, both of which just slide out of the tool. Really cool. A lot of picnic or peasant knives, they're sometimes called, have a fork or spoon, but they usually fold out, and then you're sort of left with choosing which utensil you want to use. But these just come right off the tool, and you can use them freehand, so to speak. And that is actually pretty cool, especially for 20 bucks. Nearly missed the last tool on this thing. Folds out like that. It is a can opener. Got a nice sharpened edge here, a little lip to lever that edge into your can, work it around. I bet you that notch could open bottles too. I have a feeling. Moving into the modern folders here, we have another one from TB Outdoor. This is the CAC French Army folding knife. Big folder here, really big handle. I mean, I still have a good inch sticking out with a full fisted grip on here. As you can see, there's a glass breaker at the rear, and of course a wine bottle opener. Wouldn't be a French Army knife without that. And a really nice implementation of a crossbar lock. Smooth, solid, snappy detent, if you will. I know they don't technically have detents, but yeah, you can definitely pop this one open. An interesting mix of a rescue knife, a tactical knife. There's a lot of complexity here that goes into the $96.95 price. Interesting custom hardware to hold everything together. I noticed that they do this little thing on their threaded pivots, which allows you to set the pivot in place and hold it tight without any sort of thread locker. So the main pivot has slots to fit this secondary little screw here, and if you torque that secondary screw down, that main pivot is not going to move on you. So pretty cool feature for making sure your threaded fasteners don't loosen up on you when you're out in the field and you need to rely on this knife. We've also got a strap cutter here. A pretty cool, surprising design, I have to say. This steel is nitrox, just like that Unboxer. Yeah.
And it's in French safety yellow.
And it is in French safety yellow. You're definitely not gonna mistake that for anything else. Very cool knife. Happy to have TB Outdoor here at the Knife Center. Speaking of new brands, we are welcoming Eikonic knives to the Knife Center this week. We've got 4 designs here on the table from Eikonic, and a lot of them sort of share the same general characteristics, so we can move through them relatively fast, but they all do something a little different. So Eikonic Knives is actually not just a new brand using an OEM, but is a new manufacturer altogether, from what I understand, which means they're making these knives themselves with, in collaboration with some of the top knife designers working today. This one is from HEAdesigns. It's called the Fairwind. It costs $74.99. We've got 2.7 inches of D2 steel, G10 handles, liner lock, nice snappy action. I feel like all of these Eikonic knives are designed to be good EDC knives, but this one in particular I think really hits that EDC note just right. With an under 3-inch blade, it should be good to go for most people, just about everywhere, and feels really nice in hand. We've got a nice soft curve here to melt into your palm, enough space for all 4 fingers to just get on there for me. I bet you even bigger hands would not have problems with this handle, but it's a simple enough shape that you can easily manipulate it using just 3 fingers if you had to. And with ball bearings in the pivot and a deep carry pocket clip, this has just about everything you want in an EDC knife. Next up, from designer Jonas Iglesias, is the Kasador. This one is dressed in micarta, brown canvas micarta to be specific. Again, D2 steel, 3-inch blade. This one is $94.99. Ooh, same story, even a little smoother with that longer blade. Just gliding closed there. Same deep carry pocket clip. Check out the custom pivot hardware on this one. They all share the same hardware, but we can talk about it here. Nice 2-tone finish, kind of blasted, and then the raised section has been given a satin finish, really classy look. These look very simple, and they are very simple knives, but the details have been elevated a little bit. This next one is a perfect example of that, so let's talk about it. It is the RCK9 designed by Ramon Chaves. Yep, that's a Chaves design. You can see it in the hard corners on the handle, in that broad drop point blade. Yeah, nice confident style. Love a Chaves design. This one is one of his most EDC friendly designs ever, I think. 3-inch blade, D2 steel. This one's treated in all black and comes in at $89.99. Same story as with the other ones, just smooth as butter. Check out how they've done the liner lock relief here. It's sort of been exposed a little bit, and then they've gone ahead and actually milled in this little pattern, this little texture pattern, so that you can get good purchase on it and close it with confidence without really even having to look at it. Sets this knife off nicely. Nice little EDC. Finally from Eikonic, this is the Dromas from Brian Brown. This is the largest folder so far in the lineup with 3.3 inches of blade, D2 steel. Got the black pivot on this one, black liners, black D10 backspacer to match that nice black coated blade. Ooh, very thin edge on this. I gotta say, I haven't really inspected the edges on these, but that is nice. Consistent, thin, flipping action is fantastic. Yeah, if you like a flipper knife that doesn't take up too much space in your pocket, I think this one is slim enough in the pocket to disappear, but definitely substantial in hand to get some work done with plenty of size to manipulate the thing without having that flipper tab get in the way, which I always appreciate on a flipper. Nice long belly here. Yeah, cool Brian Brown design. And that it shares with the next knife, the Finch, also designed by Brian Brown. This one is significantly more upscale though, at $298 with the specs to match, of course. We've got M390 steel, titanium liners, titanium scales, all over PVD coating. And on this particular one, the standoffs have even been anodized blue. Nice little touch. This is a front flipper design. Works great. I honestly can't tell if front flippers are getting better or if I'm just getting better at flipping them, because I haven't failed to front flip a knife in quite some time, and I don't think I've improved that much. I say all that to say that this has great action, and you can kind of approach it from any direction, over the top, with the finger. Yeah, I could do that all day for sure. And the design itself is just super, super clean. It's almost like there are really only a couple lines in this design. Some are curved, some are straight, but it adds up to a just kind of a satisfying knife shape. You know what I mean? It's got a really satisfying profile when closed. That blade almost disappears in there. And when open, you've got this perfectly straight, I'd call it a Wharncliffe, but it doesn't have quite the thin tip of a Wharncliffe, so.
It's a reverse tanto.
It's kind of a reverse tanto. It's too straight to be a reverse tanto, but whatever it is, it's definitely going to be nicely controllable. You know, a perfectly straight edge is not going to wander in cuts. It's just gonna plow right on through. The tip is also really controllable, almost like a little utility knife if you're going to be cutting something out on a surface using that tip. Yeah, it's almost small enough with just 2.9 inches of blade that I could see somebody carrying this as like a secondary knife, maybe do a fixed blade or something. You got your tough and tactical carry, you got your classy practical carry. This would be a good choice, I think. The Finch, we have not too many of these, but we do have several variations. In addition to all black with black standoffs, they also come in micarta and in plain titanium, so lots to choose from to suit your taste. Speaking of high-end and tactical knives, this is the latest version of the Microtech Anax, an integral titanium folder, now with a super cool Tanto blade. M390 steel, This one's partially serrated and comes in at $558. Now, of course, that is an enormous amount of money to spend on a pocket knife. And I say that because the next thing I'm going to say is that I think it's actually kind of a bargain when you look at everything that this knife does. It is by far the most complex knife on the table today. Spend some time with it and you'll really see what I'm talking about. I mean, the whole profile of the handle is contoured in this direction, so you've got a real 3D shape to it. It's a single piece of titanium, of course, since it's an integral. And the blade is insanely complex. We've got chamfers and crown spine and fullers all kind of running into each other and meeting each other perfectly symmetrically. It really is marvelously well done. And on top of that, the knife really works well. I mean, a lot of these flagships are meant to be, you know, appreciated perhaps more than used, but this one I think really could live with you day to day. The pocket clip with its ceramic ball there works great. Frame lock operates perfectly, of course. Got lots of deployment options too. Can reverse flick using that fuller, no problem. You can open it with your thumb. Detent on this one's a little tough. There we go. You can open it with your thumb. Even with that stronger detent, I mean, it just floats closed very nicely. But wait, there's more. That's right. This knife also comes with dedicated hardware to adjust and take it apart. You got your pivot-sized screw and your handle-sized screw there, and titanium screw-in lanyards. I'm going to demonstrate this real quick with one of these, but it actually comes with two. We've got a pointy one and a round one. Yeah, simply screw that into the back of the handle there. And on this version, they've even DLC coated the titanium to match the rest of the knife. I have actually tried putting this in my pocket and using it with this lanyard, and it really does make it super easy to get out and get to your knife. I mean, get one or two fingers around that and the knife comes out no problem. Very cool. This was a moonshot of a knife, and Microtech and Wright, the OEM, have absolutely nailed it. We have just one more folding knife to talk about today, and it is a new version of the Cold Steel Verdict. This has taken the original Verdict, which I believe came out last year, which had Grivery scales and just a 420 series stainless steel, I believe, and has upgraded them to G10 and AUS 10. So if you liked that design but wanted something that could hang with a little more edge retention, a little more premium feel, I think this is the version for you. These cost $92.95, and we've got several colors and blade shapes available. This is the Tonto. I think we have a drop point as well. So yeah, I mean, this is one of, if not the most EDC friendly cold steel designs available today. Ambidextrous deep carry pocket clip, very, very nice and thin here. But we've still got the reliability, strength, dependability of the Triad lock. Yeah, absolutely outstanding lock strength. Ergonomics on this one are pretty nice, for me at least. I have no problem getting 4 fingers on this handle. My 2 fingers fit these grooves pretty nicely, and the rest of the hand just accommodates itself quite well. Works in a pinch grip, and the action on these is pretty sweet too. For a knife lock that is functionally very similar to a back lock, these really flip open nicely. Yeah, smooth and confident. Before we get to the fixed blades, I have a little keychain tool here from LionSteel. If you've watched our SHOT Show coverage, you've seen this before, but this is the Eggie. It's here in various colors of titanium, and here's how it works. You unscrew the top. Inside, we've got a little barrel with 6 tools. Select the one you want. We've got a bunch of different sized Torx bits, as well as conventional and Phillips drivers, and some kind of special tools made specifically for the Eggie. We've got a carbide glass breaker right there, and an actual little knife blade. Look at that. Put your Eggie top back on, carefully, and a little edge there. I mean, that's a ½ inch of edge at most, but you know, plenty to get a package open or something in a pinch, especially if you've forgotten your knife. Yeah, these are easy to stash on a keychain or anywhere you want to keep these tools handy. These are $89.95 at the moment, and yeah, like I said, available in a bunch of different colors. Okay, it's fixed blade time. First up is the Bushcrafter from LT Wright. You have seen this knife before. In fact, it's one of LT's staple designs, but these are back in MagnaCut. So we've got 2 variants right now with MagnaCut, burlap canvas, and I think a layered G10 version. I think it's gray and black. Outstanding bushcraft design. I mean, it's in the name, you know it's gonna work well, but it does everything you want a bushcraft knife to do, which is extreme handle comfort and outstanding cutting performance. Almost every step of this knife has a handmade oversight or part to it, and the end result is a knife that is very, very highly refined, even if it's actually built very simply. These are $306.95 at the moment. These come with a beautiful leather sheath from JRE Industries. Got the optional drop loop there that you can drop or keep it on your belt here if you wish. Fire steel loop, awesome bushcraft package. Yeah, the handle comfort on these is unreal. Big enough to fill your hand, but with that finger groove there, it does have some of that locked in feeling. You know, if you needed to stab, scrape, just go at something with this. You're gonna have the security there to do that, even though you don't actually have a guard. And with MagnaCut steel, you're getting really reliable stain resistance and toughness that rivals some carbon steels. So if you're the kind of bushcraft knife guy who's carbon steel only, you really want to depend on that extra toughness of a carbon steel, MagnaCut is going to give you that, but with stain resistance as well. It really is an awesome choice for this, and with a sharpened spine, definitely going to strike a fire steel as well. Next fixed blade is the Enuff 2 from Spyderco. The original Enuff, I think, had a 3-inch or thereabouts blade. The Enuff 2 has just about a 4-inch blade made from VG10 steel. Nice kind of draw point, spear point thing going on.
Spider shape.
Spider shape. I'm gonna call it a spear point. I think the website calls it a leaf-shaped blade, but it is definitely designed for cutting efficiency with both a full flat grind and a distal taper towards the tip. The handle scales are FRN, which I tend to prefer when they do what this FRN did, which is provide a lot of shape in the molding process. So we get some of that hourglass contour in this direction and a kind of a rounded contour in this direction, even though the scales themselves are quite thin overall. Price on these is $168, and the sheath is this molded affair here with a leather retention loop that is removable and reversible for left-hand carry. Snaps in, plenty of retention even without the loop. I mean, it's quiet, it's not shaking, it's not going anywhere, but you can button it down if you wish. Nicely designed, I would say, so that you can get your whole hand around the grip before it's even out of the sheath and just pop it open. You're ready to go. So this is a great one for, I don't know, a quick draw system or just carrying on your belt so that you can have something super fast to hand when you need to make a cut. Yeah, the ergonomics on this are really nice. I think people are going to enjoy this once they get it in hand. The handle's not super long. I mean, you can see my large-sized hands fit on here pretty compactly, but they're shaped in such a way that they don't feel small at all. It's very comfortable. I could definitely put in some hours of hard cutting with this. Next up, a couple new hunting knives from Hogue. And I almost don't even want to call this first one a hunting knife. This is the Extrak, because while the color indicates that it's for hunting and the ultralight kind of construction is marketed to hunters, I think it would also make it a really, really compelling EDC fixed blade option. Everything that's going to work when you're deep into the field on a hunt is also going to work when you're just tired at the end of a long day. I mean, if cutting and slicing performance is what you're after, the thin blade stock here is what you want to see on a knife like this. 3.3 inches of blade, CPM M4 steel, which offers great amounts of edge retention and toughness. And since it's not a stainless steel, I'm glad to see that they've coated this blade. I believe it's available in black as well, but I picked this orange. If you like the profile, you're gonna like the knife. Lots of handle length, I should say, but not a ton of thickness. In fact, check that out. Really, really thin, and geez, under 2 ounces. This is just 1.9 ounces. And Hogue, they always go that extra mile with their products, and they definitely did this time. It actually comes with 2 sheaths. This one is more of a slip than a sheath, but is perfect if you're really trying to keep weight down and just want something to throw in your pack, take with you. Keeps your edge protected, slides on and off, no problem. If you want to carry it, say in a pocket or on a belt, also comes with Kydex. Pops in there nicely, and even includes an ulti clip right out of the box. Keeping the hunter orange theme going, this is the Expel Scalpel, also from Hogue. This thing is pretty cool. It's actually patent pending. So this was designed to solve the problem of unsafe handling with these scalpel blades. If you've used these replaceable scalpel type knives before, you know that it can be a little dicey when it comes time to actually swap them in and out. Oftentimes you're maybe having to grab and torque this thin little sharp thing in a way that might make you a little worried you're gonna cut yourself. Maybe you've even cut yourself doing that before. This is designed to alleviate that problem with this kind of sliding rack thing here. So when it's in the ready position, so to speak, it's locked in place. It holds the scalpel blade tight, but when you go to change it, you just pull back on the piece there, and then you grab this portion of the blade that's not sharpened, you pull it up a little bit, and then use that same movable rack to eject your blade. There you go. Didn't have to touch it near the edge. We got the dull blade off. We're ready to put another one on. So when it's time to reload the blade, you can take your fresh blade and actually put it right into this little slip that comes with the knife.
Also called a sheath.
Also called a sheath. And there you have the little part you're gonna need to use exposed while protecting your fingers from the edge. So you can grab this any way you please. Reload the blade by just pushing the knife in place. Boom, there we go. Ready to keep cutting. I don't think I've said the price yet. Comes in at $97.71 and comes complete with that orange sheath you saw, as well as I think 3 extra replacement blades. But if you're buying this, chances are good you may already have a nice stash of these Scalpel blades at home. Yeah, this is a cool way to make that tool a little more user-friendly. Last, we come to the biggest knife on the table today. And this is all new, even though ESEE fans will recognize this. This is the Expat Libertariat machete, and it comes in at $169.95 because this one is made in the USA. I believe the originals were manufactured by Condor in El Salvador, if I'm not mistaken. But ESEE have on-shored production of this knife, and yeah, it's the same kind of combination machete and cleaver that people have been a big fan of. I've seen these as the starting point for different modifications. You know, you can kind of make that rectangle of a blade shape into any other blade shape you want if you're feeling ambitious with a grinder. If it were me, I would leave this as is because that cleaver DNA is going to come through with every big chop. It's more substantial than a typical machete in terms of blade stock thickness. In fact, it is 0.15 of an inch. So very sturdy, definitely not flexible. Enough weight to hit hard, especially the way it's been ground here. The full thickness is carried all the way towards, I guess, I don't want to call this a Scandi grind, but I don't see a whole lot of a secondary bevel.
It's Scandish.
Scandish, it's a Scandish grind. Which means it's gonna have great kind of carving and wood cutting powers as well. And the knife is not so big that you couldn't do that with it. It's pretty well balanced here. The actual balance point is more like here, but if you choke up, you've definitely got some control. You could put that to work carving something. Although, let's be real, I think this is more about chopping power. And yeah, definitely going to cleave some logs with this guy. Like other made in the USA ESEEs, this has 1095 carbon steel and micarta handles. And comes with this simple but effective nylon sheath. Well, that about wraps it up for this week's New Knives video. Thanks for sticking with us to the end. A lot of cool stuff on the table today. If you would like to get your hands on any of it, click the links in the description and be sure to sign up for our Knife Rewards program so that you can get some free money to spend towards your next knife. I'm Seth V. That's Thomas behind the camera. We'll see you next time.